pursuit. Since its inception, the United Nations has stood as a beacon of hope, striving to prevent conflict, protect the vulnerable, and build a better tomorrow. United Nations Peacekeeping brings together nations, cultures, and forces, uniting them under one mission: peace. From monitoring ceasefires to protecting civilians, peacekeepers safeguard lives and restore dignity where conflict has torn it apart. The journey began on 29th of May 1948 in Palestine with the UN Truce Supervision Organization. The first step in a mission that continues to this day. Today, 119 nations contribute their soldiers and resources. A true testament to global solidarity. From Africa to Asia, the Middle East to Europe, United Nations Peacekeeping has undertaken over 70 missions across the globe, each a story of resilience and cooperation. Despite operational commitments at home, the Indian Army has been a steadfast contributor to global peace. Since 1950, India has participated in 53 of 72 UN peacekeeping missions, deploying nearly 300,000 soldiers, among the largest contributions by any nation. Through courage and sacrifice, 164 Indian soldiers have made the supreme sacrifice under the UN flag, a testament to India's resolve for world peace. Today, over 5,000 Indian peacekeepers serve in 9 missions across the world, including 5 infantry contingents, 11 specialist units, and 188 staff officers and military observers. India has also provided 16 force commanders, divisional commanders, and senior military advisors, shaping the UN's most critical operations. Whenever disaster has struck, Indian contingents have delivered food, water, shelter, and hope to displaced families. Indian medical teams have been a lifeline, conducting medical camps, surgeries, and specialized care for thousands every year. These efforts not only heal but establish sustainable healthcare systems in conflict zones. In rural and conflict-hit regions, Indian troops organize veterinary camps, saving thousands of livestock, protecting livelihoods, and building resilience for local communities. Our engineers rebuild lives, constructing vital infrastructure for a better tomorrow. Indian peacekeepers strengthen local forces through structured training and capacity building initiatives. From skill development programs on health, education, and equality to yoga outreach promoting holistic well-being, Indian peacekeepers build trust and resilience within communities. At the heart of our mission lies the protection of civilians, ensuring safety for the most vulnerable. Female engagement teams of the Indian Army, now deployed across all missions, connect deeply with women and children. From gathering information to assisting in humanitarian crises, they build dialogue, trust, and security where it matters most. To heal invisible wounds of conflict, India has embedded psychological counselors in mission hospitals, bringing care, stability, and hope to affected populations. From clean energy to ecological initiatives, India champions sustainability within UN missions. Empowered by Atmanirbharta, India deploys indigenous vehicles, surveillance systems, and advanced communications in peacekeeping. These self-reliant technologies ensure safety, mobility, and effectiveness, strengthening not just India, but collective global peace. Peace is more than absence of conflict. Through education, empowerment and equality, Indian peacekeepers help rebuild societies on stronger foundations. Enshrined in our civilizational ethos, the world is one family. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Our peacekeepers embody this eternal philosophy, serving humanity beyond borders. The UN Troop Contributing Countries Chiefs Conclave reaffirms this shared resolve, bringing together nations to strengthen peacekeeping and chart the course of a safer future. Peace is humanity's greatest pursuit. Since its
check. Check. Hello, check. Check, mic check. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, sir. Throw. Check করে একবার। Check. Hello. Check. Check. Hello. Check. Check. Hello. Check. Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You check. Okay. Check. Okay. Check, mic check. You go 1, 2, 3, check. Okay. 1.
A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We request all of you to please take your seats. We are just about to resume shortly. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope that you had a great meet and greet with the Honorable President of India. And with that, it is time for all of us to begin with a fireside chat that indeed will promise to be this unique exchange between two of India's most respected defense industry leaders, moderated in fact by a seasoned expert, as we collectively explore how technology can serve and empower not just the mission but also the humans. With all of your distinguished presence, I must say that as the peacekeeping landscape grows more complex and more multi-dimensional, ladies and gentlemen, the need for technology-driven solutions has never been more pressing. And in this context, today's fireside chat focuses, in fact, on a theme that lies at the heart of future-ready peacekeeping. The session is being titled as Leveraging Technology for United Nations Peacekeeping Operations. This discussion also aligns with this broader objective of the conclave, which is to advance the global peace and sustainability by fostering proactive cooperation, promoting military diplomacy, boosting the defense exports, and enhancing the logistical and industrial capabilities amongst the troop contributing countries, the TCCs. Well, our aim is to explore through this fireside chat how innovations in AI, surveillance, climate resilience, dual-use technologies, and defense industrial partnerships can support both the mission effectiveness and the sustainability in UN operations. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it is in fact my distinct pleasure to be inviting on stage the moderator for today's fireside chat. May we please welcome Ms. Shreya Dhondial, the executive editor at Times Now. Ladies and gentlemen, with a round of applause as we welcome the dynamic moderator, I must tell you that Ms. Dhondial is one of India's most respected journalists, known for her very sharp reporting, insightful analysis, and commanding presence in the national security and strategic affairs domain. Her experience in engaging with top military officials, policymakers, and the global experts makes her an ideal choice for being today's moderator for this fireside chat. Thank you very, very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for that very high praise. Most of it not true, but thank you.
Thank you very much. Although, yes, I was asked to practice brevity while introducing her as she wanted, but it was a tough choice. Should I be wordy or speechless about her? But warm welcome to you. Thank you so much. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be inviting our accomplished panelists now. Please join me in now welcoming a pioneer of Indian defense manufacturing, Shri Rajinder Singh Bhatia, a distinguished army veteran and one of India's most respected defense industry leaders. Let's welcome him with a wonderful round of applause. Shri Bhatia is the president of the Society of Indian Defense Manufacturers. He has been, in fact, ladies and gentlemen, a key architect in advancing India's defense manufacturing capabilities and building global partnerships under the banner of Atmanirbhar Bharat. A very, very warm welcome to you, Shri Bhatia. On that note, our second panelist is a distinguished voice in the space where public policy meets innovation. Please welcome Dr. Nasir Jamal, the Director and Head of Department at the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. With over 2 decades of experience in government relations and strategic stakeholder engagement, Dr. Jamal has played such a key role, ladies and gentlemen, in strengthening industry-government dialogue to thrive the defense sector reforms. A strong advocate of the Atmanirbhar Bharat vision, Dr. Jamal continues to foster innovation, institutional synergy and sustainable growth in India's evolving defense ecosystem. We are honored to have the three of you amongst us today. With that, let me hand over the contours of the conversation to Ms. Shreya for moderating the discussion. Over to you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you for being here. I know post-lunch sessions can be a bit tough, especially after you've had an Indian meal. All you want to do is probably find a little corner and, have a nap. Over the next 20 minutes or so, we'll try our best not to give you that opportunity, I hope. I hope to have the conversation engaging and free-flowing. Gentlemen, first of all, thank you very much for this invite. I'm told that this room represents about 22% of the world's military. You're all leaders here, leaders who bear the weight of command. You are men who have sent young boys and girls, soldiers, into battle. You have seen some of them not come back home. I don't know whether you've done this or not, but I've seen this. I've seen some very senior officers weep in the dark and ask themselves, what more could I have done? You more than anyone else in this room know that technology is not a luxury. It is the difference between getting your boys back home or having their names inscribed on a wall. You know more than any one of us that you cannot fight tomorrow's battle with today's tools. So what we are going to do over the next 20 minutes or so is to at least see an intersection between peacekeeping, generative AI, and technology. You all are the experts here, but what we also have is lived experience right here in this room. So what we'll try and do after 20 minutes is open the floor, and if any one of you has suggestions, maybe anecdotes, anything that you'd want to possibly communicate with each other and with all of us, we'll be very happy to hear from you. I mean, we have experts and then we have the experience as well. Gentlemen, I think the first question is going to be an obvious one. Maybe too simplistic, but let me ask it in any case. 5 years ago, Azerbaijan showed at least civilians like me, that war is not fought the way it used to be many, many years ago. And since then, much has changed. Can I ask you what the battlefield of the future is going to look like? And especially for peacekeepers who, work in some of the most volatile places on this planet.
Firstly, it's an honor to be sitting out here. And Shreya, thank you so much for being the moderator. You also have, I think, some very deep-rooted ties with Indian military, which is well known. So coming back to the question which you asked, in fact, not only the battle in 2005, every battle, every conflict has taught us that there is going to be something new in the next conflict which is going to take place. If you take a look at some of the battles which were fought as early as First World War, in fact, after seeing the effect the German Air Force had on the battle, there was an announcement that navies and the armies of the world are no longer required. How far from truth it is today. So when in 2005 we thought employment of UAVs would probably sound the death of legacy systems, it was totally disproved in the current conflict which is going on. But one thing which is very clear, that every future battle which is going to be fought is going to ride on a technology wave which is not what has been seen before. So you now see that there are legacy weapons, but mounted with technologically advanced weapon platforms or weapon systems which ride on that. To predict what the future of the warfare would be is actually not easy. It's like looking into a crystal ball. So what we need to do is to ensure that the peacekeeping forces or the forces of the world are abreast with the latest technology, and that latest technology will require a great amount of effort to be developed. So what we are looking at is a future war scenario which will not look anything like the previous one and would be riding the wave of a new technology. So to that end, I think the role of the people sitting in this room is actually tailor-made. If you really want to be the peacekeepers to the world, you have to be ensured that you are ahead of the conflicting area, at least in terms of technology. And I think that's where the real crux of the future wars and peacekeeping lies.
Dr. Jamal, would you want to come in?
Thank you, Shreya. First of all, I would like to thank Indian Army and the Army Design Bureau for inviting us for this important discussion, and welcome all the the armed forces chiefs from different countries for this important interaction and discussion. Shreya, you asked about the technological advancement, which is actually shaping the peacekeepers' strategy for different wars. So let me start by saying that obviously the peacekeepers, the peacekeeping mission and the forces of the UN need to be more advanced, at least more advanced, not then at least at pace with the warring factions. So it is important for them to be technologically upgraded so that they are able to ward off the adversaries, what are the challenges which are coming in the way. And the biggest challenge for the peacekeepers is to safeguard the people, the population, along with themselves also. It is so important to know the challenges well in advance through technology, which can help them actually mitigate the threat. So technology for peacekeeping mission, and with a very, very limited budget which we have for the UN peacekeeping, it is very important to be technologically advanced at a low-cost technology. It can be used for future warring.
We'll talk about the budgets in a bit.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that.
Because I'm sure that is a concern to every person sitting in this room. But Mr. Bhatia, the disruptor in the matrix is AI, right? In fact, ever since 2017, ever since Project Maven, it has been debated and asked, is the world ready for regenerative AI in war? Can I ask you how AI will play into future conflicts that UN peacekeepers may encounter?
So first part is that we need to understand that AI is a catalyst. It can ride a platform. It's not a weapon system by itself. So first part, that needs to be very, very clear. Now, what role AI would play is similar to what breakthrough technologies have played in the conflicts in the past. Surely, AI by itself is not panacea for all issues which are related to modern warfare, but we need to take a look at AI, quantum computing, data mining. There are all these things which can help make soldier quick decisions and can help its life become easier in the conflict zone. Now, when you talked about Project Maven, actually it was meant to be a trans-dimensional, which means cutting across dimensions, and it was actually talking about data computing and bringing machine learning into it. And they started in 2017. It's about 8 years ago. All the same, the project itself has not been fully integrated into the armed forces. There have been some trial runs which were done on this. It has shown promise, but it is yet not integrated. So AI and the modern technology will act like a catalyst. We need to utilize that. We need to take it as a support function for many things which are a battle requires. Especially in terms of peacekeeping, it can be an excellent tool for forecasting. It can be an excellent tool for identification of friend and foe. And it also will help peacekeepers make the correct decision. So I think it is the way forward.
But isn't it also a double-edged sword?
Right, Shreya, you are right. Absolutely, it's a double-edged sword. But we need to know how to use it and how best to use it for the benefit of the peacekeeping mission. Because AI can also be, because since it is in the electronic and digital domain, then it becomes vulnerable to attacks also. So AI has to be very much controlled also. It has to be absolutely within the control of the UN peacekeeping or the armed forces of the country. So being a double-edged sword, but the more advantageous in terms that these can be used for many things in the operation, like convoy routing. If you also find out what kind of density in the area, that AI tool can be used to find out the various movements of the, maybe some threats which are there. So AI as a tool has to be used and is being used, as told by Mr. Bhatia. I second him that AI has to be, because there's no other option. You have to be technologically advanced because the adversary is using it. So you have to be more advanced than them in using AI for the war. And keeping peace more important.
And of course, there is, the small issue of budget. And when I say small, I mean quite literally small. So you have technology that is going pro max, but it's not exactly cheap. If you look at the defense budget of the UN peacekeeping forces, it is about $6 billion, if I'm not mistaken. It took, and it took roughly 6, and it took $10 billion to organize the Paris Olympics. So that is the comparison there. Where is the future? How does then technology become accessible to all? Is collaboration then the way forward?
So the issue here is that multinational conflict management, where the peacekeeping forces come in, is in a state of flux. The situation is that the countries which were contributing to it have increased their defense expenditure while cutting down the allocation for this particular task. Now there are two things which come out of it. One is that when the defense spending goes up across the world, the conflict zones are going to be increasing in number. Now with the reduced budget, the only way to really take that challenge is that we should take that reduced budget to give us the extra mileage, which means you should get bang for the buck. You should be able to get maximum value out of it. I'll just give you an example here. Take a look at India. India is today actually famous for its frugal engineering and for its manufacturing of high technological products at a fraction of what the international costs are. Just to give you an example on the global competency centers which are being set up, what they call competency or capability centers, there's a feeling that we are doing research in high technology areas at almost 1/4 the price of a Western country. Now, if you add that development to the frugal engineering and manufacturing, we can actually let the budgets which are available with us go much farther. And this will be the requirement because defense spending all over the globe is going up. So conflict zones are going to be higher. So I would recommend that there should be more efficient use of the funds which are available while seeking extra money for this.
No, so then we are very proud of the fact that we want to be as self-reliant in defense as possible, right? Which is why this big pitch for Make in India. But then the future of Make in India is also collaborative. It will have to look outside India. It will have to look at what technologies other countries have, what their requirements are, and then maybe move forward, if it has to be collaborative and inclusive.
So Make in India was started maybe a decade ago with a lot of thought process. What the recent conflicts have indicated that most of the countries would require the technological dependence on other countries to be reduced. So Make in India was an effort in that direction. Let me assure you that Make in India is not meant to be an exclusive effort, which means that you are not shutting down the world. It's not that we are getting back to India alone and rest of the world is excluded. In fact, Make in India has to be an all-inclusive effort. And that's where collaborative effort comes. Now, if you take a look and if you want to develop a high technology product, it makes no sense to start. If we want to make a car, I can't go back to cars. So we need to step into the so-called stream at somewhere place where people have reached. And that is where the collaborative effort comes. If we can be together in peacekeeping forces, we could as well be together in co-development, co-design, co-manufacturing. So this is the way forward. And I think I can safely say Make in India is to encourage more and more people to join hands so that we both make this world a safer place to live.
But is the way forward then, Dr. Nasir, even dual technology? A technology that can be adapted for military needs and civilian needs together or vice versa? And where is this technology going to come from? Is it going to come from startups or is it going to come from the big daddies?
Right. I think most of the technologies you see in history, that many of the technologies which were developed for military use were later used for the civil use. So it is the other way around also. I think many of the civilian technologies would certainly find way in the military use also. And if you look at the institution, our institution, research institution, DRDO, they have been working on dual technologies also. And our technology is absolutely much cheaper than the technologies were developed abroad or by the big daddies. So the startups working here in India are trying to make technologies which are cost effective, and we have the scale also. We can bring in the scale because we have that capability. There are countries which are developing technologies, but we can bring in the scale. That is what Make in India is for. And Make in India has has a role for every stakeholder. Either it be the Indian companies, defense companies, MSMEs, startups, even the foreign players also. So that is why collaboration is the way forward, and that is what the government's agenda is. And we have been taking delegations to different countries. Now another delegation is going to Armenia. So we are actually looking at collaborative effort, joint ventures, where the companies from India, the major players, these startups, they are finding collaborations there. They are integrating themselves in the global supply chain, helping the countries and the companies, find cost-effective products, and that is the way forward for the UN peacekeeping mission also, given a very frugal budget.
Chair, can I add to something
Please
what Dr. Jamal said? There was a very wonderful book, and I don't mind referring. It is called Conflict. And in that book, it said, and you talked about technology right in front, it said the way the technology will shape itself in the future conflicts. And the first part was that technology will develop or evolve faster than you can anticipate. The second part was that the technology will heretofore touch every facet of life. So conflict will not be only for the people in uniform, it will be for everyone. And the last part of that was the most telling, which said heretofore that technology will move from civilian domain to the military domain. So the critical point here is that dual use technology has to be the way forward. There is no way, and you need people working, cutting across spectrum of technology, you need to attack at wide front so that you are able to address the needs of the technology of armed forces from this wide front which you have attacked.
UN peacekeeping missions operate in regions that are highly vulnerable to climate impact, such as the sub-Saharan Africa region. We now, of course, know that climate change is a driver of conflict and instability. Can tech in any way help mitigate that?
So I think I'd like to answer this in a little different way. Conflicts will lead to damage to climate. Any conflict which has happened has actually ended up harming the environment. So the next part is, can we prevent the conflict to take place? The prevention of conflict would depend upon how well technologically we advance ourselves. So I think to that end, technology is thoroughly related to the damage to the environment. If you are able to develop technology, if the people sitting in this room or the people who are contributing can manage conflict management, which is what is required, then the damage to the environment will be much less.
No, but conflict is not the only contributor to climate change. The fact is that peacekeeping missions can be impacted by climate change that in any case are afoot.
I totally endorse what you are saying. I was saying that conflicts also lead to environmental damage. At least that part can be controlled by technology. Certainly, if tomorrow's mission for conflict management also means environmental control, I'm sure people are capable of taking that up.
Dr. Nasir, would you want to pitch in?
Absolutely. Just like to add to what Bhatia just told, climate change is basically, it is increasingly affecting the operations of the peacekeeping mission. Certainly, like if you see the sub-Saharan region or the desert or the very cold regions, where generally the operations, we see all the major UN peacekeeping missions in Africa and the Saharan region. So the resources are very limited. So you have to be using technology. You have to use technology to justify the use of those resources which are available for the maximum advantage of the, for the peacekeeping mission. And technology like AI can also be used to mitigate the climate changes effect which are there for the peacekeeping mission. The satellite data or whatever technology which can be used, which can be cost effective, You cannot use a very high cost technology in regions where the accessibility is a challenge. So you have to bring in very cost effective methods. Technology has to be used to mitigate the effect of the climate on the UN peacekeeping mission. And that we have seen because the regions, there are many conflict zones now because given the geopolitical situation and the situations which are arising across the globe, we need to have more UN peacekeeping missions. Like either it be through in population, large population also. So technology use also mitigates the effect of the climate.
A quick last question. India has a legacy when it comes to peacekeeping missions, right? Some 63 years. We started during the Korean War. So is India's defense manufacturing ecosystem tapping in or leveraging that lived experience to tailor solutions to what peacekeepers need?
See, when you go into a multinational task forces, you get exposed to the technological advancements other people have got. And there's something called technology osmosis, which means when you interact, you're able to understand, you're able to see what is happening. So those things do help in at least formulating the requirements for the future armed forces readiness. And also, when you see, when you feel, they also become objects of desire if they are high technology. And then you start working towards developing that. I think this is a perfect platform for bringing in those inputs for technology development, and I think it has helped a lot.
Final word?
Certainly, I think India can be a vital player, an important player in bringing in technologies which are cost effective, and that is what we have been doing under Make in India plan. And the government through its different schemes have been promoting, and we are working also for we're trying to make technologies which can be used by the friendly countries also, and for the UN peacekeeping mission. So certainly technology at a lower cost is the way forward, collaboration is the way forward, and Make in India, under Make in India program, we are doing it and we have been doing it. Obviously Mr. Bhatia and this company and other companies which are the leaders are sitting here. They are working on those technologies, and the startups are playing a major role, which you can see, and through different challenges which the DRDO has brought in, we have been able to find out new players in this domain. And these will be game changers. And I think Make in India will be the way forward. And they can also be a guiding factor to the other countries which are there. There are many countries which are willing to work with India.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you for this. Should we pass the mic along in case someone wants to, pitch in with an opinion, a suggestion? Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I'm General Indrajit Singh. I'm presently a veteran officer from the Indian Army, former Director General of EME. Yeah, very important subject you've taken on, but what do we need technological advancements for? We have not discussed the basic issue of peacekeeping and how does technology help. So I'll give you a few areas. While you are talking, I was jotting it down. We have communication technologies which can enhance peacekeeping operations. We have data management and analytics. You talked about AI, it's a part of that, a sub-part of that. We have mobility and logistics. You can use technological advancements to a great degree for having better peacekeeping operations. We can talk about security and surveillance. Here is where AI comes in. Here is where drones come in at a very low cost. I've noted on some other points, healthcare and medical support. Here's another area you can take on advancements in technology. You can talk about energy and infrastructure. And lastly, what I've noted is command and control. Once again, the peacekeeping units are widely dispersed. We need systems and technology which can help us for command and control of the units and interoperability. That's my thoughts.
Something as simple as energy could be an issue when you are, when you are deployed in far-flung areas. Yes. Anyone else, please? Gentlemen? All right. Okay.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'm Colonel Rajneesh Kakkar from Ashok Leyland. I think in terms of the technology as advancement and when we're talking about the AI and all, I think we should also touch upon the cyber in the space. These are two important domains that we generally tend to miss out, because what today is happening is that the information warfare, the psychological operations that are taking place, narratives that are being designed by the adversaries, and the way they are getting into the cyber and the space domain. I think that is very important, where all these technology advancements and whatever the developments and R&D is happening, I think these domains should also be looked into, because I think they are going to be very important. They are not saturated as yet. So I think this is a very important domain that we have to look into also.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Yeah? Gentlemen, yeah. Please go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon. Brigadier Damien Bushell from the Australian Army. We're talking a lot about autonomous systems and generative AI, and I want to talk about this in the context of UN peacekeeping. How do we ensure that those systems are trusted? So when we deploy now in a traditional sense under a UN mandate, we have very explicit rules of engagement. Our soldiers are well trained and they adhere to those rules of engagement through that training. But when we become more reliant, and we have to be, on autonomous systems and the use of generative AI and how they pair together, how to ensure those systems are trusted?
I think an extremely valid question, in fact more an observation. So this will certainly require rigorous trials, rigorous commitment into enclosed environment where you can monitor their behavior. Once you find that these systems are reached up to a level where they can be trusted, only then the real deployment can take place. I gave you an example. The project started in 2017, repeated trials done, but still not into practice because of the exact reason what you have said. This becomes even more important for UN forces or the peacekeeping forces, where the restrictions are plenty in terms of their deployment. So all I can say is this is an extremely relevant and valid question. We'll need to find ways to ensure that these systems do come up to the mark before they are deployed for these kind of purposes.
Anyone else? Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I am General from the Kingdom of Morocco, if you may. With the increase of the US OVA in peacekeeping operation, I would like, if possible, to develop or precise if there is legal frame to avoid any ethical measures OVA, and how to reduce the risk and ensure responsibilities, to ensure the responsibilities and to reduce those responsibilities of the blue helmet. Thank you.
The question was on AI, sir?
Yes, exactly. Yes. And the legal framework to protect
the legal
our
framework.
So I think there has been a lot of international deliberations which have gone on use of AI and the regulations governing that. All this is a very important issue because if tomorrow AI does decide with whether it was a friend or a foe, you could end up doing something which is disastrous. We totally appreciate the concerns. Right now, I don't think there is a total legislation which has been cleared, because I believe there was a meeting which was held in Switzerland, if I'm not mistaken, a few months back, where teams were discussing this. Once the legislation comes, and once what my friend from Australia said, that we are actually able to test all these technologies in, foolproof testing process, I think then only they will be becoming applicable. Till then, it is still going to be a technological development.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. Should we wrap this here? Anyone else? All right. I think we can take a last question or a suggestion.
Yeah. Can we use AI and other technologies in the acquisition process? Because the acquisition process, they are so long. When the technology gets outdated, by the time you actually think. And this is a common problem, I'm sure, across all armies.
Sir, it is not tried tested as yet.
So you can land up with problems. So
Can I
let's
just
wait
say-
for it to
can I
become
just
little
say
more rugged.
Our bureaucracy will defeat AI.
So let it become little more rugged and let the regulations come, then we'll recommend.
We'll have to bring in human in the loop under AI. Unless and until that is done, we are not able to do
No,
that.
we only want to accelerate. You've got 4 years of acquisition process,
Absolutely.
and the way the technology is changing at a neck-breaking speed.
The
doesn't
technology
make
leap
sense.
is happening every
Yeah, exactly.
2 years.
Yeah.
Even a year nowadays.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you.
Should we wrap it here, gentlemen? Yeah? All right. Thank you. Thank you all very much for your kind attention to the matter at hand. Thank you so much.
Panel, thank you very much. We'll request you to please remain on the stage for the felicitation ceremony. May I please request General Dwivedi, Chief of Army Staff, the Indian Army, to please step forward and extend our little gesture of saying thank you to our distinguished speakers and, of course, our very able and diligent moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, like I always love to say, accompanied with your round of applause. We begin with Dr. Nasser Jamal. Dr. Jamal, thank you so much once again. Thank you very much, Ms. Shreya. And thank you so much, Mr. Bhatia. Thank you indeed for this very enriching and forward-looking session. I'm sure with the deliberations that were crisp and impactful, we examined the balance between the cost effectiveness, the quality, the importance of the dual-use technologies, and how do we foster this joint development and defense diplomacy with the TCCs. Thank you once again to our moderator and our discussants for that very emphatic discussion indeed. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, to now render the vote of thanks, may I request Lieutenant General Rakesh Kapoor, Deputy Chief of Army Staff Information Systems and Training from the Indian Army, to please step forward to the dais.
Distinguished chiefs of troop contributing countries, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is something that everybody was looking forward to. And, but notwithstanding, on behalf of the Chief of the Army Staff and the Indian Army, we thank each one of the delegates who's come from overseas and the industry captains who are here to come and spare your time with us. We also thank you for making the effort to come down to India. I know all of you have got busy schedules back in your nations, and also for supporting the conclave. Sometimes our program was not user-friendly, and we were moving from one place to another, and we were bearing the autumn heat of New Delhi, but thank you very much for supporting it. Also a special thanks to the spouses who made it for this conclave, and what I'm told is they had a very engaging session amongst themselves. The past couple of days has been, it's an absolute pleasure meeting friends, building associations, talking about things that we as soldiers commonly do. And what was even more heartening was rebuilding certain old suggestions. Somebody had done LGSE together, somebody had done staff college together, or somebody had gone to a similar school overseas in a third country. That was really engaging. Earlier this morning, our foreign minister mentioned that India believes in multilateralism, and which, you know, we propagate that, and that is something that we it's a part of our foreign policy. But when I translate it to our military, the translation and the manifestation of that multilateralism is our focus and the importance that we give to military relationships. That is an important focus, and our current Chief of the Army Staff is taking personal note of what all is happening. Just to inform you, as a nation, our armed forces does 72 exercises with friendly foreign countries per annum, which translates to 6 exercises every month. Though some months there are 8, but I just did a mathematical thing. It's roughly 6 exercises every month that we do with friendly foreign countries. And as far as peacekeeping is concerned, while it is our civilization tradition that the world is one family, but as the Indian Army, we keep peacekeeping as a moral responsibility, and this is where we engage with our friendly foreign countries. And whenever Indian troops deploy overseas, we only deploy under the United Nations flag. Each of the head of the delegations made some very valuable points. And the most significant aspect when we analyze these points is, I think we developed a fair amount of shared understanding and common thoughts within the portals of this room. Whether we talked about enhanced role of women for sustainable peace and development, whether we just talked about technology as a key driver and how technology can build in efficiencies and more effective peacekeeping missions. Just as a point of interest, we also placed a flyer in your folders about what all the Indian Army is doing about technology. And both year of 2024 and 25, our chief had enunciated this as the years of technology absorption. And therefore, we are very focused to absorbing technology, because we also understand, like the gentleman just said here, the rate of change of technology is so rapid that the acquisition cycle doesn't keep pace with it. Also, we spoke about enhanced need for situational awareness, better use of digital technologies. So when you go down for the industry display this afternoon, we've put up a display section of the Indian Army, what our UN battalions are doing for better situational awareness, and how are we exploiting those digital technologies, and we will be happy to partner with our friendly foreign nations. We all agreed that there is a need to change. There is a need to reform. Some institutions, are becoming anachronistic, and there is a greater role that the troop contributing countries must have in mandate formulation. And there is also a need for mandate and resource matching. We all, I think, jointly agreed on the need for safety and security of the peacekeepers itself, and the need for responsive humanitarian assistance. Everybody here has spoken about budget constraints, but I have a totally different opinion on this. I think this budget constraint should be used as an opportunity. Used as an opportunity to see how do we firstly rematch our priorities, certain missions which no longer are providing the due results need to be packed up, and also how do we infuse newer techniques and technologies so that our budgets could also match. But yes, budgets are required. That doesn't mean that budgets are not required. Also, I think there was a joint agreement that there is a need for a common and a more positive communication or narrative, so that all the detractors who often generate false news or false narratives, we can mitigate those issues. The Under-Secretary General also mentioned about the need for reform and changes what the United Nations is doing, and he put it across in 3 pillars. One was the political, operational, and financial. I think they are also doing a review in 2026 where opinions of all troop contributing countries would be sought. And I think we need to have a shared understanding and shared opinion on those issues also. So what we've done is, as an initial draft, we've compiled all these points, and the recommendations that have come out have been placed in your respective folders. And we assure you, we will send you a final draft very shortly after getting all the due approvals. In a matter of 120 days, we should have it sent to your nations. Also, all these deliberations that we've spoken about are also on the YouTube. At any point of time you want to refer to any of those recommendations made or any discussions, can also be accessed through that. After this, we have an industry display. We have some very eminent industry captains who will be present during the industry display. You could have one-on-one engagements with them. You could have multiple discussions with them. And they have put almost 100 stalls outside for your viewing and for your and whatever needs that you may have. Also, one more focused thing that we did, and this is thanks to our industry captains who enabled it, is that we analyzed the pledges that all of us make as nations. So we analyzed the pledges that we made at the recent Berlin Ministerial. So there was a range of almost 52 pieces of equipment that cumulatively all nations require. Approximately about 32 to 33 pieces of that equipment is going to be put there at the industry display. And based on the informal requests that we've been getting from many of the distinguished delegates that we must have such conferences more often. So the chief directed me this afternoon that we need to institutionalize this process, and what we will do, India would be happy to host this conference once in 2 years. In the meanwhile, we will get all our necessary approvals, and we would be looking forward to similar and even more inclusive participation. And finally, it rests on me to once again thank you all for being wonderful participants and for all the inclusive discussions that we've had. I'm not going to use a Hindi phrase, I'm going to use a Spanish phrase because I know the second most spoken language in the world is Spanish. So, hasta mañana, farewell till we meet again. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, General Kapoor. And yes, with that, from the training systems to the innovation hub, all that we discussed, ladies and gentlemen, the one fundamental truth is definitely established, that peacekeeping is no longer just about the boots on the ground, but also about the brains behind the mission. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, once again, on behalf of the Indian Army, I would want to thank each one of you. I think you all deserve the loudest round of cheers. So can we please come together and extend a hearty round of applause for each one of you in attendance. Thank you so very much. Well, the Chief's Conclave for UNTCCs culminates with a defense exhibition. So dignitaries, along with their protocol officers, will now proceed for the bilats and the defense exhibition that will showcase the capacity building initiatives over an experiential tour, ladies and gentlemen. Well, in the words of Sean Spacey, events are what people attend, but experiences are what people remember. On behalf of the Indian Army, we will continue to render always such experiences that you remember for a lifetime. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, you may please now proceed for the bilats and the exhibition visit. Thank you so much. Wishing all of you a great flight, safe back home. Jai Hind.